In 1999, The Matrix introduced us to a dystopian world where humans are enslaved by machines, and our small crew of protagonists fight to free humanity. Directed by Lana and Lily Wachowski, the movie has become a staple in the resistance-driven science fiction genre. It's a compelling and insightful film in many ways, but at the end of the day, it is fiction. But what if the strategies for the resistance could be mapped onto real-world tools for challenging oppressive regimes? Enter Gene Sharp's From Dictatorship to Democracy, a time-tested guide to revolution that has inspired resistance movements worldwide. Gene Sharp, a world-renowned political scientist, developed this detailed framework for dismantling oppressive regimes without violence. His book From Dictatorship to Democracy outlines a comprehensive strategy for grassroots movements to challenge power, from strikes and boycotts to dual sovereignty and parallel institutions. Sharp emphasizes the importance of strategy over spontaneity, noting that effective resistance movements must undermine an oppressor's source of power, which is, in the movie's case, the Matrix simulation, which keeps humanity unaware of their own enslavement. Across the world, Sharp's theories of resistance have empowered pro-democracy movements and inspired the fight against oppression. Now, let's enter the world of the Matrix to see how resistance is depicted in a digital dystopia. At its core, the film is about resistance to an oppressive system, humans against machines. Neo and the crew take on the role of revolutionaries, aiming to free humanity from the machines and their simulated reality. But how well do the fictional tactics align with Sharp's real-world principles? Sharp highlights the importance of raising awareness among the oppressed as a first step toward resistance. This principle is mirrored in The Matrix when Morpheus offers Neo the red pill, a moment that shatters Neo's ignorance and pushes him to confront the harsh reality of his world.
Like everyone else, you were born into bondage. Born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch.
The red pill moment catalyzes Neo's awakening, setting him on a hero's journey to dismantle the Matrix and liberate humanity. By unplugging Neo and others from the simulation, Morpheus and the crew are able to strike at the very foundation of the machine's authority, the illusion of reality. This act exemplifies Sharp's key recommendation to strike at a regime's weakest point, their Achilles heel. By raising awareness, Morpheus cultivates the grassroots for a resistance movement capable of cutting down the entire system.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Beyond raising awareness, Sharp advocates undermining the sources of an oppressor's power by empowering civil society institutions. The crew's ship itself becomes a symbol of this idea, a parallel institution working outside the machine's control. When Neo joins the crew, he becomes part of a counter-narrative challenging the oppressive regime. This aligns with Sharp's vision of civil society-based organizations as centers of democratic power capable of opposing authoritarian systems. The resistance crew's survival in the underground channels exemplifies how movements must operate strategically, subverting systems of control while avoiding direct confrontation. Well, mostly avoiding direct confrontation. Here, the film clearly diverges from Sharp's philosophy. The protagonists in The Matrix often use violence as a tactic in the struggle against the machines, from gunfights to hand-to-hand combat. In that previous scene, Neo and Trinity packed and brought a whole duffel bag of guns to the fight.
So what do you need? Guns. Lots of guns.
Sharp, however, continuously warns against violence.
The assumption that violence is going to be quick, nonsense. The assumption that violence is a tool of liberation, nonsense.
Sharp elaborates in his book and wrote that, by placing confidence in violent means, one has chosen the very type of struggle with which the oppressors nearly always have superiority. Instead of focusing on targeting an Achilles heel, cutting off the machine's power at the source, our protagonists often dive headfirst into a violent struggle and thus almost always lose in these interactions. In the movie, it's only when Neo realizes himself as the One, which is a fictional prophecy-driven narrative, that he can win in his violent struggle against Agent Smith, who acts as the military police of sorts for the oppressive regime. So, while the movie's action sequences are truly thrilling, and surely bode well at the box office, it offers little insight into how a real-world revolution might succeed through nonviolent means. For their action-driven scenes, The Matrix literally coined and popularized a visual effect called bullet time. So despite what Hollywood may show us, we humans simply don't have the luxury of turning into the one in order to dodge the bullets of the oppressor. Thus, we must think outside of the box, turning to time-tested theories like Sharpe's in order to chart a path forward.
Piece from the Times today, which describes Gene's work. Not perhaps since Machiavelli has a book had such impact in shifting the balance of power between the rulers and the ruled. Unlike Machiavelli, however, Gene Sharpe is not advising princes how to hold on to power. He is telling millions living under dictatorship how to liberate themselves.
While The Matrix was released 25 years ago, and From Dictatorship to Democracy was first published 30 years ago, both remain strikingly relevant today. Whether protesting profit-driven globalization or advocating for participatory democracy, their themes resonate in a world still grappling with oppression and inequality. In The Matrix, we see Gene Sharpe's theory of resistance reflected in the protagonist's fight against an authoritarian system built on illusion, extraction, and complete control. From raising awareness through the Red Pill to building parallel institutions aboard the ship, the film's narrative aligns with Sharpe's call to strategically subvert regime power and empower a resistance movement. However, the story also diverges, blending nonviolent strategies with Hollywood-style acts of rebellion and confrontation. Of course, The Matrix is just that, a fictional story. Its cinematic action and prophecy-driven hero approach are commonplace in Hollywood, despite what Sharpe's liberation theory calls for. Yet, this also reveals a unique advantage for The Matrix. It has an opportunity to reach wide audiences in mainstream entertainment with thought-provoking questions on resistance, oppression, and the world we live in. The film offers a compelling platform for us to think critically about the systems that shape our lives and the power we have to resist them. As we've seen, Sharpe's strategies provide a practical roadmap for change, but the story and the very production of The Matrix reminds us that resistance also requires courage, vision, and a belief that a different reality is possible.